We have nobody remote, correct?
That's great.
All right, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We are on the record in case number 2021-00382, electronic investigation into wholesale water rates charged by the city of Carlisle to Sharpsburg Water District and Nicholas County Water District pursuant to KRS Chapter 278-200, KRS 278-160, KRS 278-180, KRS 278-190, and 807 KAR 5011. My name is Kent Chandler. I'm chairman of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. I'll be presiding over the hearing today. With me is Vice Chair Amy Covage. If you have cell phones, I ask that you please set them to silent mode or turn them off. At this time, we'll have the interior appearance of counsel for Carlisle.
Your Honor, my name is Henry Watson III. I practice with Watson Law Firm in Paris, and we represent the city of Carlisle.
All right, thank you, Mr. Watson. For Sharpsburg Water District
Yes, sir. Earl Rogers, an attorney for Sharpsburg Water District.
and for Nicholas County.
Damon Talley with Stalking and Ogden. We represent Nicholas County, and with me today, our office manager, Monica Pryor, and our distribution operator, Kirk Robinson.
Thank you. And commission staff.
Good morning, Your Honor. Justin Young for Commission staff. Also with us today is Brittany Koenig.
So we placed on our website, beginning yesterday or the day before, information on how to call and provide or request to provide public comment by calling in. No one indicated their interest in calling in and providing public comment. At this time, I would just ask, is there anybody from the public that would like to provide comment?
Your Honor, we did get a newspaper advertisement in yesterday, but I did not get it uploaded. But I will supplement the record with the
Okay.
newspaper advertisement that was in the Carlisle record yesterday.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we need to take up any motions before we get started this morning, Mr. Watson?
Your Honor, we're prepared to stipulate some things,
Okay,
if you want to hear that.
that would be, I think, a fine start.
I think we're here on a couple of points. One, on overcharges. It looks to us as though there might be two sources of overcharges. One is an ordinance that the city has in effect on cost of living, and the other is a late fees ordinance. Both ordinances are in the record in this case. The Sharpsburg numbers, we're not going to dispute the numbers that they came up with. However, we will talk a little bit about some credits that the mayor said have been already made to that account, which I just found out about this morning and passed it along to Mr. Rogers there. So we're prepared to stipulate those. For any other shortfall, depending on the amount, we had initially stipulated or willing to stipulate that we credit those back over the next 6 billing periods. However, if it's not much, we might be able to take care of it in one. As far as Nicholas County, the same stipulation in part. We don't have any Nicholas County numbers. I don't know if they ever provided them or if I just missed them in terms of what they think we may have overcharged them. Again, we're not going to argue with their numbers. And again, we'd want to credit them with billings over the next 6 months. As far as the late fees, Sharpsburg is a non-issue. They've never been late. Nicholas County, again, will stipulate that there may be some based on paying their bills late, and we don't have any numbers on those. While we will agree to stipulate those facts, we reserve the right to challenge the order on the law. We think for the Public Service Commission to not take into account city ordinances on cost of living and late charges may amount to being arbitrary under the Kentucky Constitution. That's the extent of the stipulation. I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody has about them, or if they're not clear for opposing counsel.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I would like to hear from counsel for the other parties just about the numbers, whatever factual basis we've got to firm this up.
So, Mr. Watson, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. For Sharpsburg, you were talking about billing periods, but for both utilities, the billing period is each month. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, Mr. Rogers, anything after hearing what Mr. Watson had this morning?
Yes, I mean, as for the overbilling, Mr. Watson told me that there had been some credits or offsets. I've inquired of my client, and I have Gail Haney here, who's our manager, and she's not aware of any credits to our bill or repayments of overpayments. Ms. Haney submitted her testimony back in November, and as of that date, the overbilling was through October of '21 was the sum of $1,602.67. The overbilling has continued through March of this year. I intended to supplement her testimony by written testimony, but we didn't get the March bill until Monday of this week, and I didn't have time to do that. But through the March billing, the current overbillage is $2,092.44. And Ms. Haney's prepared to testify as to such.
Could you state that number one more time?
$2,092.44. So that would run from, I believe it was, that's through March, and of course, the new rate, I think, takes effect after that. And that runs from, I should know that date, the overbilling began in July of 2020.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Talley?
Fortunately, Nicholas County caught the increased charge, and they reduced the bill, and to our knowledge, we do not have any overpayment. And we have made some late payment fees. I'm not aware how much those are, but, we're not contesting that at this hearing.
So,
Can I ask
Go
one
ahead.
question? So you're not asking for any late fees to be returned or anything?
No.
Okay.
Your Honor, it could be, just jogged my memory here, the mayor may be talking about a credit that was immediately applied when this new tariff went into effect. Is that what you're,
The credit was issued the following month after they had complained.
I think it relates not to the cost of living, but to when we put the new tariff in effect in August.
okay.
And I think it was credited the next month.
It was credited next month, yes.
So here's what I think the best way to go about this is, Mr. Watson. As you can tell from our previous order, we have an interest in having rates that appropriate reflect the actual cost. And I think that should be indicated in our indication to Carlisle that we think they can support a higher rate should they come back and request such a higher rate. We try to deal in truth and absolutes the best that we can within the fuzziness of the standards that we have. With all of that being said, I think what may make the most sense, given the stipulations of Carlisle today, I think we may have a couple of clarifying questions to help us better understand the situation, maybe get a little clarity on Sharpsburg's assertions as to what has happened. If we can get some clarity and some additional information on these assertions, I think that my preference would be for us to go back and calculate what we believe the amounts are and put those into an order explaining how we arrived at those amounts, including the testimony of Sharpsburg, for comment by the parties, including Carlisle, as to whether they agree or disagree with the amounts. And if there is agreement, then that can be stated as much in a pleading. If there's disagreement, then Carlisle will certainly have the ability to maybe provide some short testimony as to what the disagreement is and the assertions as to what you think the right agreements or the adjustments to those amounts are. That way the commission can then go back, make a final determination based on the factual record, and then enter an order accordingly. Depending on what those amounts are, I know your all's position is currently the 6 billing periods. I think that once maybe you all see what the commission puts out in terms of its findings as to the amounts, then I think you shouldn't necessarily be held to 6 months. If you all think it's a month is sufficient, or if you all would like 16 months, whichever, I think you all should be able to amend it based off of those numbers that we find to be accurate. Does anybody have a concern with that process moving forward after today's hearing?
Your Honor, I just want to draw attention to the staff's review of the numbers. It does look like there was an overcharge to Nicholas County during the year of 2020. Just want to put that out there.
That's fine. We'll be able to do all this in an order too. That way, Mr. Watson, I think we can be very direct with our hearing today. And then I think that would, well, frankly, put most of the work after today's hearing on us. And then provide everybody what we think the finished product is for your all's objection or comment.
There is one other fee that they charge, Your Honor, and I forgot about that till
Okay.
just now. That's an E911 fee that applies to, I think it's $2 a month to each district, which are established pursuant to the case law on E911 fees and
Okay.
going on meters. And I don't think anybody's raised a dispute about those.
Okay, and that's a per meter fee, correct?
It is, and it also allows, if you've got multiple meters, like farmers will have multiple meters for their different watering systems. There'll be a meter on each watering system
Right.
for their cattle. They only get charged once because the farm is protected under E911. We're not worried about every watering system, but the property itself gets one bill, and that would hold true for Nicholas County with their multiple meters.
Okay. That's helpful.
But that is not an issue.
Okay.
Just want to point that out. I don't think it's an issue.
Okay. All right, so unless anybody has an objection about that path forward, I think it would be best to go ahead and start getting ask the questions we need to today, get the evidence that we need to, for us to calculate, especially pursuant to what Sharpsburg's proposals are. Then we can set what we think are the definitive numbers for everyone's comment or objection. Is there anything else before we begin with the witnesses' cross-examination, Mr. Watson, Rogers?
Not that we have, Your Honor.
Mr. Young? Anything?
No, Your Honor, please.
All right. Mr. Watson, we'll let you go first if you'd like to call your first witness.
Mr. Mayor, this is Mayor Ronnie Clark from Clarksburg, or from Carlisle.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is true and accurate under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Ronnie Clark, home address is 110 Sycamore Street, Carlisle, Kentucky, 40311.
Mr. Watson?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, we've already covered this a little bit, but I want to make sure that we emphasize it's cost of living ordinance. Would you explain that, how that works?
Every year, based on the cost of living, provided we're losing money in a utility, we adjust the cost, whether it be water, trash, gas, whatever. So our services on July 1, if the cost of living was 4.6%, and we took a loss that year, then we adjust that utility up by that percentage.
Does this apply to everybody, both inside and outside the city?
Yes, sir.
Does it apply to wholesale and retail customers?
Yes, sir.
What about the late fees ordinance? Was that also established by ordinance?
Yes.
Does it apply to everybody,
Applies to
inside,
everybody.
outside the city,
Yes, sir.
wholesale and retail?
Yes, sir.
What about the E911 fee? Was that also established by ordinance?
It's established by ordinance and applies to every meter in Nicholas County.
Okay, if you've got multiple meters, do you pay more than one fee?
Yes, sir.
If you've got 2 or 3 meters serving your property, do you pay for every meter or just for the property?
You pay for every meter, because each meter is based on a position of a building being next to or something like that. So each meter is there for a reason, whether it's feeding a tobacco barn, a milk barn, a livestock barn, or whatever.
Your Honor, I'm not sure that the ordinance doesn't provide for.
But again, those we do not collect from. They're billed and collected through the water districts.
How much does each water district pay just for one E911 fee?
What, they pay a lump sum based on the meters that they're projecting that they have. Now, how they collect from meter to meter, I have no idea.
Would you explain what you understand the wholesale practices of the water district are as far as Nicholas County Water District? How you understand it?
I understand, we have a contract to supply 4 million gallons per month, which we have met unless there's emergency, and there's language in the contract that spells out that. There's also language in the contract that was approved by public service that we have a right that the water district agreed on to apply a cost of living increase if it was based on all customers. But again, that's not there. But from there, you know, we're providing them with water, we do the very best we can. It's just like everybody here that's come to this hearing today. We're running on a Model T Ford, plant-wise, pump-wise, and that plant was designed and built 100 years ago, the pump station 70 years ago, and they were all based on the notion that the water would be served the city of Carlisle by the number of gallons that was made. Over the years, through grace, we've had expansion. The water districts have come along and done a great job expanding services out into the county. We would have been in a lot more trouble a few years back, but and we lost a major employer. There was a major supplier from us of water, the Jockey International. So when Jockey went out, at the same time the water district kept expanding their territory and their line and the number of meters they serve. And again, we're still operating off that same old plant that's put together with barbed wire, palings, twine, and everything else. And we are in the process of grant applications for a new pump station and a grant for a new water plant. 12 years ago, 14, we had a water plant coming, and through grace of voters, I left office. It was funded, it was engineered and ready to go, and the next party comes along and says, we don't need that. So I'm back to square one in 4 years of getting engineering done, 7 years worth of audits that were not done while I was gone. I was gone 8 years, and bringing all that back up to par to where we're grant eligible. And I'm proud of the fact that we are, and all of our audits are up to date. And I'm squeezing state, us. I need help, cooperation from both water districts. Everybody that's got water, we all need to be on the same boat. That we definitely need a plant that will produce and make clean and adequate water to supply us on into the future, instead of us being in a backward situation where if I have a filter go down or a pump go down because of the design of the operation.
We'll cover some deficiencies here. Are you aware of the recent order of the Public Service Commission indicated that you're about 85% short of where you ought to be, and that you were granted about a 33% increase?
Yes, and we definitely could use that money. We'll be asking for that. Again, we're operating with Band-Aids, and at the same time, there's nobody stepping up and saying, oh, by the way, you can't push any more out than what you're doing now. So I hate to use the word ban or taps, but the state has, over the years, have given us the orders of not to tie people on sewer and stuff like that. So there's 2 flags here that I'm flying up. One of them is that we can't do any more than what we're doing. And if we have a major blowout of some type, and we get down to that point, we have no fire protection or anything else, trying to serve all these extra meters.
Mr. Mayor, do you have your notes there on the audits?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Give
would you
ideas.
look-
I'm getting old. I guess we all are. Didn't have glasses when I first started. Now I'm getting close to hearing aids. But along the way,
Would you look at the audit for the year ending June 30, 2014? All of these audits are in the record.
yes, sir. We lose on water alone $270,000. How that's been made up over the years is through gas service. We own the gas service. We own the meters. We own the lines. We supply people in town. And the stand has always been that as long as we can balance the budget, we're going along. It's not the right answer.
Would you look at you said 270,000 in fiscal 14, what about 15?
$175,984.
What about 16?
16, 173, 136.
These are all shortfalls in the water.
Yes, sir.
17,
17, $77,060.
18,
128,317.
19.
264,439.
Fiscal ending 2020,
$110,226.
and the latest audit ending June 30 of last year.
$212,495.
Okay,
And
look at the gas revenues for the comparable figures there in 14.
14, we made $389,000.
Okay, what about 15,
379,423.
2016,
235,411.
2017,
224,813.
2018,
276,865.
2019,
276,24.
2020,
303,163.
and 21.
$276,892.
With those losses in water, how is your city not bankrupt?
Well, I want to say good management, but how do you say good management when you're robbing Peter to pay Paul? And that's what we've done. We've robbed Peter to pay Paul.
And Peter being the gas revenues?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it fair to conclude, based on this, that the city of Carlisle citizens are subsidizing the wholesale of water?
Yes, sir.
In terms of Nicholas County's wholesale to Harrison County, do you know where that's connected?
That connection should go up across Hickory Pike. There should be a pump at the edge of Harrison County. That line, at the time that was put in, I put it in. But anyway, it was started as a 2-inch line. And now I couldn't tell you what size it is, but that's been several years back, so yes.
When you say several, do you know, is it 20, 30, what are you talking about?
Is what now?
The 20 or 30 years, how many years ago has it been that that line went in?
It was between 25, 30 years ago.
And when you say you put it in, was
Yes,
this
sir.
under the
That's mine.
auspices of the city, or
No,
was
sir.
it private
It was-
contract?
It was, the way it worked back then, and the water districts weren't quite as strong. It used to be the water districts would let you put a line in, and then they would absorb it after you put it in. So the customers on that line absorbed the cost, pipe, meters, et cetera, and then the water district would take it from there. It's about like a city taking a street. You blacktop it, subdivision, and then once it's subdivided, then we'll take the street, and it's ours from that point on, take care of it.
In terms of immediate problems that you're facing, would you talk about the immediate problems that the water system is facing right now? What's the most pressing problem?
Pressing, there's so many that it's every day. I get up along with my other help worrying which way we've got to run this morning. We pumped from the Licking River. That basin was, that platform and everything was put in the 50s, 1952. Matter of fact, I'm going to be given a bottle of water that was the first bottle that came through that pipeline from the Licking River to the city of Carlisle. So that pump station's been there that long. It's one pump. It was engineered back then to sustain one pump. When the pump goes down, we're at the mercy of the two reservoirs we have at the city. We have an upper and a lower reservoir. Those basins, we can get about 15 to 20 days out of if the pump goes teetotally dead. Pump's been down now for 3 months. To give an idea, to run that pump just alone on diesel fuel, the way the costs are right now, we're spending over $20,000 a month running pumps to pump the town. So we're at extreme cost there. That pump, I've been 3 months getting just now of the company to say, okay, we're going to come out, we're going to pull it out for you, we're going to get it rebuilt and go through another company that'll do that. All that is lined up. 2 weeks from now, the pump will be pulled. It's pulled. We're going to take it straight to the rebuild shop. It's another vendor. We'll start on it immediately. We'll bring it back, and the other people will come back. From that point, then I go back towards the water plant. And again, I hope I don't make the state mad or anybody else, but it is what it is. Today, you have an extreme problem, same way with these pump people, of getting people to the magic word, work. With that being said, I've struggled to keep operators. I struggle to get anything repaired. And at the same time, I've got the Division of Water, which I love, that's screaming at me that, you know, you gotta have certified operators, they gotta be this. Okay, COVID has gone on. You didn't have schools open. List goes on. But yet I have people that can make good water. We have our tests done every day. Our tests come back good. But you're screaming at me over certified operators. Help me move that process up and not have this year wait. Or if you've got college, I had a girl just quit. She had a degree, and she was able to take a 4A test, and we're a 3A plant. But you had to wait this time to take that 4A. But if we went through the regs, the way it's written, without her education, she wouldn't be able to take it. So she was able to jump 2 and 3 and go straight to 4, which is crazy. She should have been able to take a 3 within 30 days of employment because of her college time. And I've expressed that to the state a little bit, that, you know, hey, you take a 4, but you can't take a 3, and we're a 3A plant, and we're still waiting to take the 4. And the 4 is a whole lot.
Is there anything else that complicates removing this pump that you explained? Is it a submersible pump in the Licking River?
The pump is in a pit. Lays on a bank that's down over a cliff. There's 110 steps, I believe, up and down to this platform that the pump is on. So it's real some, it had to be taken in with a crane, which you've got electric there, and you're down over a bank. And anyway, it's designed now to where you can take it out in sections from the last time it was rebuilt. But again, that's something that's going to come up off and on from time to time. If we had a extra pump and we had stored at our barn, on July, we had a flood that was out of this world, I guess you'd say. We lost all of our equipment at City Barn. But again, if we'd had a pump sitting there, it would have been in the same situation. It would have been underwater and been ruined. So
Is the plan to purchase a new pump and rehab the broken pump? Is that the plan?
my hope is the existing pump will be rehabbed. And, you know, again, we're a small community. Water districts have so much to spend, I have so much to spend. We're trying to get a new pump station. So to me, it's a little bit ridiculous to have another pump sitting there, and within a year's time from now, I'm bidding for a new pump station, that this pump will not work on the new pump station at all. So we spent $128,000 for another pump that becomes useless from the point that it's not gonna fit the new design for the new pump, where the new pump's gonna be, our pumps will be. We're got with our new one, we'll have 2 pumps instead of 1, so.
So when this pump is pulled from the Licking River to be rehabbed, how long do you expect that will be out of operation?
10 to 14 days.
And what will you work on then to produce water?
We are pumping, again, we've got pumps, we're pumping today. We have river pumps that are set up that are temporary, they're powered by diesel fuel instead of electric. So instead of paying a $1,800 to $2,400 electric bill, I'm paying $20,000 to $30,000 for diesel fuel.
So you'll be able to continuously pump while you're rehabbing this?
I have no choice.
Okay, I got you. Now, what about the filter system? Can you explain a little bit about the problems with the filters?
Okay, the system has been there, again, from when the plant was built. And since the time the plant has been built, there's been some maintenance done and some not. Again, I'm getting old, I guess, but the last time the filter media was changed, I was involved in changing the filter. Again, I was a younger guy then, and I could shovel the sand and stuff in the bucket, and we had to rope it out. That had been 28, 30 years ago that's been done. So we're down to where now that we're having to backwash so much that we're wasting a little bit of water to clean, and we gotta clean quicker because, again, the filters need to be changed. So the plan is, you know, I've sat and thought, well, somebody's gonna say, you can't do it this month, you can't do it that month. We're waiting for the school to close. School is a big user of water. As far as the agriculture goes, the way it works, there's a water out there, it's open year-round anyway. So I'm getting away from the school using water, and if I wait till school in the summer, if I wait till the fall, then the school fires back up, and nothing against school or anybody else, or any school, but the first thing we start doing when school opens back up, we start watering the football field. Thousands and thousands of gallons of water to make our football fields good and green. So the ideal situation is to be hopefully in the month of July. The contractor, I've got a contract in place, or it's sitting on my desk, that, my language is with them was it had to be, I need to know the exact day you're gonna start, the number of days it's gonna take, and you're in, you're out, and then we'll wait on the other filter. What'll happen is I'll be notifying the water districts and everybody else, that, and include people in town, please do not use excessive amount of water. We'll get everything full if we can, and if that means they're here at 7 a.m. to start pulling this stuff out, they'll be there at 7 a.m. We'll shut down. As soon as that filter is completed and back up and operational, we'll wait approximately 7 to 10 days before we start the other filter. That gives us again.
There's two filters?
There's 2 filters.
And you're gonna do them one at a time?
Yes, one at a time. In the best case scenario I've got is that they're gonna produce right now about 400,000 gallon each. So I'm losing half my ability to make water. So as soon as that one's done, then y'all need to fill up, we need to fill up, we need to push everything we can as quick as we can to get it full back up. As soon as it's full again, then, okay, Tuesday morning, we need to start on the other one and get it done.
Okay. Is there a line upgrade that is in the works?
We should be prepared to bid that in the next 30 days, I'm hoping. Right now, the plans are laying with the state. The state signs off and says, okay. This is the 1914 line that comes through town. This just gives you, it's an 8-inch line, it's cast, and it's closed down to about 4.
I'm sorry, you said it's,
It's closed down over time, over corrosion, over the buildup of chemical residue, I'll say it that way, that it's shut itself, it's closed itself way down.
so that'll be replaced?
Yes, and
How
that's,
long is that gonna take, any idea? Once you get started?
I would like to say I'm like some cities want to be, 30 days they're in, they're out, but as a rule of thumb, between cutting blacktop, tying people back in, everything, we're probably looking at a 6-month project. As far as the failure to produce or make or ship water is not gonna be there, because we're gonna tie off and tie on as we go. So that won't affect, it will affect the quality of water at some point when we switch over, but as far as the ability and the amount we're making now, it won't affect.
Is the city willing, when you've got a little bit more firm plans and expectations for all of these projects, the raw water intake pump, the line upgrade, and the filters, are you willing to sit down at that point with both the water districts and try to work through
I've got no-
problems that are going to be associated with all
Sure.
3 of these projects?
Sure, I've got to. I mean, they've got to have water. We've got to be able to make it. And I don't want to see anybody do without water. Again, if we didn't have a Model T trying to make it run in 2022, we wouldn't be there anyway.
Now, the long-term solution for all this is what, a new water plant?
New water plant, new pump station, and as the time goes on, some upgrade of lines, not just by us, but I'm sure the water districts are probably at their limit too on the number of taps they can do and provide service to every customer if half of them turn on at the same time.
In terms of the new plant, have you given any thought to the capacity or what it's going to be able to produce, or what you're going to try to
I'm
design
looking
and
at,
build it
I
for?
would love, my goal was 3 million gallon a day. And this was started years back. Like I say, I had the plant engineered, the plans were designed by GRW, set in place, approved. I leave office and it dies. Same time, we got a bigger withdrawal. I tried to touch all the bases. We bought the property that we need to build on. We got a bigger withdrawal permit from the Corps of Engineers from the Licking River to be able to draw the extra water that we're gonna need for the new plant. So everything is lining up or should be to make it happen, yes.
Okay. That's the only questions I have. I'm sure that the water districts have some questions for you, Mr. Mayor, and maybe the staff as well.
Mayor Clark, when the city enacted its cost of living increase, what, if any, notification was provided by the city to the wholesale customers?
If I had my clerk here, I'd tell you, I have no idea. Other than the point that the water district had the same contract that I have. If they would have read it, they would have seen that it was in there, that it was automatic.
And at what point in time did the city of Carlisle, well, let me scratch that. The cost of living increase was in July of 2020?
And, yes, and July the 1st. Your first bill came out, you all called and said, hey, this is not right. The next billing cycle, we adjusted your bill by $900 and some off of that bill plus penalties.
And when did the city file to amend its tariff?
For this tariff, we started on this, a few months back. The date I couldn't tell you without,
Okay. When was this adjustment that you said occurred? When did it happen?
it happened the very next billing cycle. It came off, I can't remember what the bill was, but I could get you a breakdown. I just had it sent to my phone. But anyway, it showed that the credit adjustment the following month on your billing cycle.
Following what month?
Following month that after the first billing. So we sent it out, complained, the next bill came out, we gave a credit, and it didn't come on that bill. In other words, it was taken off the next month, so we issued a credit back on the bill.
So the credit was for how many months?
It was for the 1 month because we didn't adjust it the second month. We adjusted it back to the old rate.
What I was trying to explain, I don't think he's referring to the cost of living, he's referring to the new tariff that went into effect immediately when we filed it in 2021.
Okay.
As soon as it went in, he applied it as soon as it got filed, and we realized it was not effective, and we took it right off. So that's the credit he's talking about. Is that clear? I mean, I hate to
Okay.
jump in, but I think.
I think that explains this. Let me ask, so what your counsel explained correct?
So as soon as we were made aware, then we gave a credit back off the bill.
And that's when, after you filed the new tariff?
Right.
But when you went back to the rate, you went back to the old cost of living rate,
We went back to the original cost of what you were paying.
which include the cost of living increase?
No, we took the cost of living increase out.
Okay.
I can explain that if you want later, but
See, I can tell you when the adjustment was here just a
cost of
second.
living ordinance was effective in 2000. And the city had no tariff in place until the Public Service Commission asked the mayor in 2019 to put one in place. So between 2000 and 2019, both water districts paid the cost of living increase as it was passed along to them. When the tariff went into effect in 2019, at the request of the PSC, that's when it was fixed, and it's that number that was adjusted with the cost of living that we're over on. For
Okay.
20 years, you didn't object to a cost of
So,
living.
Mr. Watson, you're not testifying.
I understand, sir. I'm
And
just
second-
trying to clarify it so we
second,
understand what,
We have.
what's happening.
We have at the Public Service Commission rates from the city of Carlisle that we received in a tariff form in 1994. So to say that the first time the Public Service Commission ever requested anything in 2019, that's the first time you'll ever provided us anything, it's just patently false. So I would let your witness testify, and if you have an objection, then I would certainly stand and please provide it. But short of that, I'd like the questions to continue.
certainly, sir.
Okay, so
So Mayor, was there a cost of living adjustment made to your wholesale water rates in effective July of 2020?
2020, there should have been
Okay. And is that done by ordinance?
by ordinance and by contract.
So in June of 2020, the city council enacted a new ordinance?
The city council enacted an ordinance years ago, and I was mayor then, that said you didn't bring the politics into it. It was an automatic cost of living increase on all utilities without a vote, because it passed based off your audit, your budget. If your audit come up that you were losing water, losing money, then automatically that's increased every year, that it's increased, as long as you're showing a loss. And we've showed a loss of a couple $100,000 every year.
Okay. So basically, the ordinance from way back gives authority to the mayor to add the cost of living to the bill?
It was, when you say the mayor or you say the city, the basis was that any utility was automatically done with or without my blessing. It was an automatic increase based on an ordinance that said that from this point forward, we operate under the assumption that all of our utilities should make a profit. If they don't, we are automatically increasing those by no less than the cost of living.
So who makes that determination each year?
The budget, that when auditors send their report in and says, okay, you're
I'm
down.
asking for what person makes that determination that a cost of living adjustment is warranted and then directs that it be added to the bill?
I guess you say I look at the end of the audit, and the audit shows we lost $260,000, then yes, we need 4.2% increase the cost of living.
So you're that person as the mayor.
I guess I am, if you want to call it that.
So under authority of that ordinance,
Yes.
in June of 2020, you authorized the cost of living increase to,
It's been, as far as in writing, no, as far as in, again, I have a clerk and myself, we both go over those numbers, and if they're down, if it's trash, it's the same thing. It goes up by the cost of living.
and at that point in time, are the wholesale customers notified of that in any
No.
way?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice if Shell would notify us that gas is going up by more than cost of living every month, but it doesn't happen that way.
Then you started, when you filed, you testified that when you filed your tariff,
Right.
you raised the rate and then you adjusted it back.
Mhm.
When did you were going to tell us when that was. When was that? You
That
were
was about
looking
the
at
next
something.
month, and that should've been the next month after, because then I'm having,
Well, I thought you were looking it up.
I'm trying to find, what I got, this one here was in 21. We adjusted back, from the bill the prior month, which is the 6th month, it shouldn't have affected the 6th month. But anyway, this is the 9th month of 21, between July 1 until 9/1, before complaint came in that, hey, you shouldn't have raised this. On the 9th first, we adjusted the bill down $866.18, and we adjusted off on the penalty, or whatever you want to call it, $86.62. Now, that was from the 1 year. I didn't go back and do the other year. I can, but I didn't go back and do
So
it.
this adjustment was made in September of 21,
Yes, sir.
and was that a credit given to?
It's credit on the bill, the next month
And
bill.
that's my question. Was it a credit to Sharpsburg's bill?
It came off the credit the next month bill.
To Sharpsburg?
Yep.
Mayor, do you mind, okay, thank you.
Pardon?
A head nod is hard for the reporter to record, so instead of nodding your head, my request is that you just answer yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, it's tough.
Okay.
So in September of 21, you applied a credit of $866.16 to Sharpsburg Water's bill.
$866.18 plus $86.62.
Plus 82 what?
62.
And that was for penalty?
Pardon?
And that was a credit of what?
That was a credit back on what you all, where we charged where we shouldn't, or we were told we shouldn't.
The 8262, you mentioned that was a credit back of a penalty?
Same month. So in other
What
words,
was the penalty that had been assessed?
the 8262 was a penalty that was put on because the bill, initially, when they paid the bill, they did not pay the increase.
Oh, okay.
So we added penalty in when it wasn't paid on time. So
let me
I'm
ask you
waiving
this.
these back penalty.
When you recalculated that bill, because you knew the tariff wasn't in effect,
Right?
what rate did you use? Did
We
you
used-
use, let me finish. Did you use the rate that you had included the cost of living that you had applied in July?
Went back to the rate that they paid them in the June of the year before, so went back to the original rate.
And you've continued to use that rate to, up through March.
until, hopefully through the grace of people seeing that the dire situation we in, that we get an increase, and hopefully they'll give us the increase that they felt like that we needed to the one we asked for.
I don't have any further questions.
No.
Mr. Mayor, did I understand you correctly that the first cost of living adjustment ordinance was passed in 2000?
Was passed on in 2000.
Well, I don't mean passed on. I mean, when did the city enact its
Enact
first cost of living ordinance?
That sounds right, about 2000, so it would have been in the first. And I haven't got that.
I'll ask you, Attorney, is that ordinance in the record here at the PSC?
That's our Exhibit 4 to the original response.
But does about 2000 sound correct?
Right.
Okay. So do you have a copy of the wholesale contract between the city of Carlisle and Nicholas County Water District in front of you?
Okay, yeah, I have one here that dated
I'll
in
find one here, and you should lose it.
94.
I have an extra copy I can provide. Do you have
But
one?
let me ask, Mayor, is it the one that's stamped at the top, August 19th, 1994?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do you have that? It's the contract in front of you there between City of Carlisle and Nicholas County Water District,
This one here's got Carlisle, Nicholas County Water District, yes.
and it's stamped August 19th, 1994 at the top.
Yes, sir.
Where it
Yes,
was
sir.
filed with the Public Service Commission.
Yes, sir.
Now, so when this, and I think the contract was actually dated January the 25th of 1993, is that correct?
93, yes, sir.
So in 1993, the city did not have a cost of living ordinance, did it?
No, sir.
Now, I thought I heard you say earlier that this contract said there was a cost of living adjustment in the contract. Is that what you said?
It was as an ordinance that was passed on to everybody.
Now, can you please look at this 1993 contract that was filed with the PSC in August of 1994 and show me where, if anywhere, it says any words about cost of living ordinance?
Well, it shouldn't be in here if it's a 94 versus 2000, but.
That's right.
But again, that is also had been the will of the city to provide more than 4 million gallons, which should have been cut off in 1994.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, so in 1993, when this contract was prepared, the city did not have a cost of living ordinance, correct?
That's right.
And then in 2000, the city adopted it. About how many times since 2000 has the city actually utilized the cost of living adjustment?
One that I know of,
Oh, none, okay, none until 2020, okay.
no.
And in 2020, did the city file a new revised tariff sheet with the PSC to reflect the cost of living adjustment that the city felt?
There should have been two in that, I don't know what happened to the other one, but there was also, at that time, a study done to raise the price of water.
My question was, Mr. Mayor, did the city in 2020 file any tariff with the PSC?
There was a draft to go to PS, if what happened there, I don't know in between, but I know it was one, along with it was a request, was it done by GRW, to ask for a rate increase at that time, also in that.
But I've searched the PSC website, and I have not found a tariff that the city filed in 2020.
I can search the death records of the state of Kentucky and find a lot of people's not buried too, if those still be alive.
Isn't it true that the city did not actually file a tariff about this cost of living adjustment in 2020?
There should have been a tariff filed.
But there wasn't, was there?
There was one filled out, again, it's no different than a record. What could have happened to it? And again, I leave office, I don't know.
No further questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a couple questions for you. I won't keep you very long at all. Sorry,
Okay.
it's over here.
Okay.
First, there's been a lot of talk of the COLA increase today. I'm a little confused on what the COLA increase is based on. Is the COLA increase based on what the utility has lost during that year, or is it based on the consumer price index?
As far, I quite don't understand you mean the cost of living, how do we base it?
Yeah, what determines how much what the cost of living increase is per utility?
The federal government, what the cost of living that the federal government puts out annually per year. If the cost of living last year was 7.3%, it's 7.3%. State of Kentucky also issues one out that if the cost of living goes up by 6.2, then your mileage goes up by 6.2 for your allowance for a car. So we use that basis.
So the amount that the particular utility in Carlisle, in the city of Carlisle loses, isn't what determines what the cost of living increase is. It's based on those other factors you just described.
It's not based on the cost of living in Carlisle, it's based on the federal level.
I understand. So the amount of loss is what cues up the application of the cost of living, and then the cost of living is determined by the other factor. I think I understand.
Right.
Thank you. Would Carlisle be able to produce a report showing the billing details going back over the last couple of years, which includes the credits and adjustments
Yeah.
that have gone through?
Yeah.
Okay.
My fault, I should have had them, I just grabbed the one and did them.
Do you know if that could also include a running balance if requested through a post-hearing data request?
For what now?
A running balance of whether it's Sharpsburg or Nicholas County
Yeah.
Water District?
We keep a balance sheet that shows what they owe, when they paid,
Perfect. I do anticipate having a post-hearing data request for that information. One moment, I just want to confer with my team, make sure I don't have any other questions. We're good? That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
How you doing?
Thank you for being here.
I feel good being behind this bulletproof glass.
I like to call it the penalty box, because it looks like, if you're a hockey fan, I'm not. but
Maybe
that's-
I'm infected, nobody else is, with COVID.
We need to take that down, don't we?
Yeah.
I have a few questions. I just want to make sure I understand
Okay.
what all's going on here, and I think I do.
Right.
But first, I know we talked about the grants
Yes.
that you all have asked for.
Yes.
What grants have you received already, and what grants are you
As
applying
far as
for?
received, we just received from the state of Kentucky a roughly $198,000, which I'm using for engineering as we talk. Have I collected from the state? Not yet, but I'm gonna have to, yes, because I'm paying my engineering as we go. So of that money, the engineering basis that I owe on the pump station is $28,000. I owe $14,000 balance on the engineering for the new water line coming through town. The water plant part, I haven't really got any inkling as total, because at some point I feel like I'm gonna have to go back and procure a little bit. So, $198,000 is coming from the state through the Clean Water Act money to help us offset those costs of engineering and things.
Okay,
Or I
so,
wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, it's just not there.
so the current money, the current grant, I know it's been awarded, but you don't have the money in place.
Right.
In your hands yet, is being
Right.
used for engineering for multiple projects.
Yes.
So are you applying for any grants
Yes,
to
we-
help
we-
complete those?
We sent one out day before yesterday to Washington, and that grant application, the total cost was 4.1 and change for a pump station. The best we'll get is 80%, 3.6. So with that 3.6, at that point, I'll be going to rural development. I say I need some money. I won't play CDBG yet. CDBG will be towards the water plant. So that's where I'm headed there. Interest rate lately has been great due to the cost of living and everything going up. It's not gonna be in the future, but again, we're a government and we're not paying 6% sales tax, and we're able to get some of the breaks. So yes, the funding will go in place. At that point, I'll be back probably saying, okay, by the way, we just invested in a new water plant the pump station. We just invested in a pump station. The pump station was 4.1 million. Of that percentage, the water districts are carrying 40% of our water. I would love to have an increase on them. And us, we can set by ordinance. But again, I'm not trying to, I don't want to rob anybody. I just want to be able, at the end of the day, pay your bill, not be bankrupt, and have a good, clean service, whether it's water, sewer, gas, trash, or what, and be able to pay my employees. You know, it's sad when I want to pay employees more, but I fought a battle for the last 3 years that's been unreal. You pay for 7 audits in a term of 2 years, and my goal is to have them done in a year. But at $30,000 a pop, I had to come up with $200,000 plus to pay for back audits that weren't done by the city, and here's the state, which I understand that, comes in and said, okay, you are not grant eligible. This water line I'm talking about going through town, I wrote it before I went out of office. It was funded, granted. I leave office, and guess what? Somebody decides, well, what's an audit? We're not gonna do it. So that money the state had issued to the city actually was fell back. So now I'm back to square one, and we may have to fund the biggest part of it. So I inherited a mess. I'm trying my very best to clean it up, and when I say clean it up, get us in financial situation where we can do what we need to do, and at the same time provide not just water, but gas, trash, sewer, and all these other things, and do it where we're not up here in debt.
Yeah, and I think I can boil down a lot of my questions, because they have to do with how the billing's been done, how the cost increases have been
Right.
done. Because I know we've gotten the record already that tariffs weren't filed, notice wasn't given.
Right.
I know all of that's getting cleaned up.
Right.
But it sounds like you have the ordinance from 2000, at least on your retail side. We'll set the wholesale aside. It said shall increase annually according to CPI. And
Right.
that wasn't done because everything was aggregated among all the utilities. Is that
It
right?
was done on the city side. Every customer in the city over the years have taken a price increase.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to figure out. So water was increased every year? in
Water,
accordance-
and right now, water and trash and sewer. Through fortunate management changes, this coming year, I won't have to do trash, but I will have to do, as it stands, sewer and water. The gas, I float a little bit. When I say float, this sounds crazy, but the way the contract's written, I can actually buy and store gas. So naturally, I buy in the summer and store for the winter. And if it's a very mild winter, well, by the way, I've got a million cubic extra feet we don't need, and I can sell it off. But I've not stuck my neck out that far in a number of years. But again, everything is based on, every utility should pay its own.
That's what I was getting to.
Yes.
Is the future plan to treat each
We got to.
utility
I mean,
separately?
it's not fair that I charge somebody for gas $1 more per unit than I need to, because I'm not getting enough for water or sewer, and I'm not getting it from the water district. So, yes, they've all got to be adjusted back, and at the same time, I can lower that gas back, and we have customers that are not gas customers that are not being, their gas is not subsidized, so, yeah. I've got to get them online. And one of the best things that's out there is rural development will tell you, if we're gonna loan you money, we want each of your utilities to stand on its own 2 legs.
Okay, so that's obviously, as long as you're mayor, your plan for the future is
Yes,
every
ma'am.
utility is going to be
And
assessed.
there's days that I get up scratching my head that I'm retired and I'm drawing my little pensions. Why am I love our town. I love our community. And if not, hey, there's not, if that was the case, I would be sitting down where I just came back from for a week, worried about getting the sand out between my toes. But I love our community, I love our town, and I don't see me or my family living anywhere else, because, you know, everybody's proud of the community, but I feel like ours is the heart, and that's where we're at.
Then I think my only other question is, I know we've talked about, you mentioned the recent order where we approved the tariff, but indicated you all really needed a higher wholesale rate.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you is that in process? Will you be filing a tariff soon?
What now?
Will you be filing for another increase soon in accordance with our order?
If I am, it's gonna be once that I know the pump station is gonna be there. Again, if I've got to fund, say, worst case scenario, right now, everything that you touch is today's price versus tomorrow's price. If I come up $1 million short, say, that I've got to bond or borrow to pay out the difference to get it done, then at that point, I will be doing what I did in 2000. I'll be hiring a company to come in and say, okay, we need to sit down, we need to go through every one of these right down to the letter and be a little more prepared for this than what I am today.
Okay, so you want to see what your debt level's going to be so you can ask for an appropriate rate?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's all my questions.
All
Thank
right,
you.
appreciate it.
I just want to make sure I understand. Do you have any knowledge of the fact that if you increase rates, that the water districts, for instance, can pass on that increase to their customers?
Can they pass on? Sure, they're asking for a $2, 28% increase now. They just filed one a month ago.
And so so there's a provision of the statute on a purchase water adjustment.
Okay,
And it allows water associations and water districts pursuant to chapter 278.015 and 016 to pass on the cost of water that they purchase from somebody else, like the city of Carlisle. Is that, at a high level, is that your understanding that they can just pass it on a one-to-one basis, their cost of purchasing water?
I have no idea. I do business with them, but as far as me saying, what's your rate, what are you getting for it, how many customers you have, what your loss ratio is, that's out of my realm. I worry about us.
Well, and the reason I ask, and I don't disagree that that's not your business necessarily, but if you all raise the rates to them, how do you convey to them that you've increased their rates?
How do I?
In 2020, did you let them know that you increased their rates?
They should, they got a bill in a paper. Now, 2020 is 20 years ago, but yeah. But yeah, as far as them seeing it, they seen it, apparently they complained.
So you didn't tell them you were raising the rates, you just sent them a new bill with the new rates?
I believe there was a phone call, as far as in writing. I'd have to go back to the office and look, but I'm pretty sure there was either a phone call, or may have been a little letter saying that we're raising the cost of water.
Okay. So going forward, do you have an appreciation now that you've got to provide notice of the increase of that rate, and you have to get approval to increase that rate?
Well, I guess I do. I hope the service station tend to come out and do the same thing for me, but it's not gonna happen. Anything else that is governed, that it goes up, if we've got to say, why shouldn't a service station or anybody else that's raised their cost today or tomorrow by 28% on gas or whatever, come up and have to say, hey, by the way, tomorrow morning gas is going up.
Right. Well, you can certainly take issue with that, but this is something that's been in existence for decades.
And their decade has been in profit line in billions. I'm dealing in profit line in negative.
Okay. So you take issue with the whole idea of the regulation. That being aside, the law being what it is.
I've got it under law. I know that. I'm not.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Do you have an appreciation now that as you increase your rate that you are proposing to charge to your wholesale customers, that you have to make a filing of that rate and have it approved before it can go into effect?
I understand how the process needs to work. Now,
Okay.
do I agree with it 110%? No, sir.
Well, and there's lots of things that are the law that I don't agree
Yes,
with,
sir.
but that's what we've got to operate
Yes,
under, right?
That's right.
I was looking earlier at and I think you have in your hand, the Nicholas County agreement there. You were talking earlier, I think that you were talking about the contract and you said something about it being automatic. You remember that the increase can be automatic?
The increase from us should be automatic because, again, I'm passing on to people in town. And as far as utilities go, they're, in my eyes, they're part of town because, again, that pie comes from us.
Well, but that's your opinion on stuff. I'm asking about what the law is and what the contract should be.
Well, I understand what you're saying now, and if anything, I need to come back every year or 2 years and say, oh, by the way, I need 4%.
Well, so that's what I want to ask you about. You've got that Nicholas County contract in front of you, right? The one that's stamped 1990, it's the 93 contract, but stamped 94. There's a section in there, and I've got it somewhere, there's a section in there that specifically talks about increasing rates. And I think
And
it's
it
what-
says that they only
Well, so
increase them by hours.
Let's look at it and we'll see what it says. So, it's on page, I think, 7 of it, and the title of it is modification of contract. It's in paragraph 5 of it. You see that?
I see that.
All right, so I'm gonna read it, and you tell me if I misread it, okay? Modification to contract. That the provisions of this contract pertaining to the schedule of rates to be paid by the purchaser, which is Nicholas County Water District, for water delivered are subject to modification in accordance with City of Carlisle water rates, as established from time to time by ordinance of the city in its code or ordinances. Any increase or decrease in rates shall be based on a demonstrable increase or decrease in the costs of production of finished water by a seller, which is you, which may include increased capitalization of the seller system
That's right.
based on improvements benefiting purchaser.
That's right.
Mr. Young asked you a minute ago about the increases that you've actually proposed to pass on, which were based on a federal index, correct? So my question is, when you say the increase can be automatic under CPI, wouldn't you agree that the contract requires the increases be based on actual demonstrable increases or decreases in the city's costs?
And every year the city's costs have gone up.
Yeah, but just because it's gone in that direction doesn't mean that the increase you've proposed is actually based on the amount of the increase in your costs, right?
Each one of those, at that basis, was not enough. You go back in any of the budgets that I've lost, add 4% to it and see what it does in my bottom line. Nothing.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But that's not what the contract says, does it?
I disagree with that.
You disagree, so you tell me what this says then.
I'm saying that it's more or less, if we have an increase, okay, if you're gonna use that, why wouldn't I be standing up to them saying, by the way, it's 4 million gallon, it's not 4 million gallon in 100,000.
That's not, but I'm
Yes, sir,
asking you
but
a
I'm
specific
losing money
question.
on that.
I'm asking you a specific
I'm
question.
losing
about
money
this
on that
second.
extra 5 million or million, so yes, sir.
Let's talk about that in a second.
All right.
I'm asking you a question about this. If your position is 2 wrongs do make a right, right?
2 wrongs make a right.
2 wrongs make a right.
The only right is everybody gets drinking water.
All right.
And I need to survive at the end of the day.
Let's talk about the part that we can do, right? The part that we have jurisdiction over. The contract says this, and what I want to ask is, how is it that increasing by CPI, for instance, complies with this provision of the 1993 contract?
Which is easier, for me to spend $60,000 to get a rate study done, 60 grand, and come here and ask you for 2%, which is equivalent to what? Not near that amount of money. So I've spent money again.
So your claim, though, Mayor, is that you're losing $200,000 a year.
No
right?
claim, I am.
Well, that's your testimony. You're using $200,000 a year. That would sound like, without being able to look at it and, give it a look, I'll just say, give it a look.
Right.
That would sound like you have costs related to the production of water that aren't being recovered. Is that fair?
Sure, you're gonna have that in a car, truck, or anything in life.
Okay. And what you're saying is you can automatically increase your rates because of this provision.
And it will not cover those increases.
But you're not raising it on an amount related to those increases.
I'm taking a lot less.
Let me finish my question. But you're instead increasing it on an indexed amount unrelated to your costs. Is
That
that
is
fair?
not true to the cost of living. You know, the federal government can come up and say the cost of living is 8.6%. Is that the true cost? It's according to what business you're in and what you're doing.
That's right. And you're in the business of producing water.
And I'm
this
losing a
contract
ton.
says that you can increase your rates when your cost of production increases, right?
Right.
So don't you think that it would be better or best to increase your rates the amount that you need related to your cost of producing the water?
Yes, it would. But again, I've got to go through 60 grand to do a study. We have sat down and we both agreed on the rate increase that I asked for. I believe both districts said, sure, we're okay with what you're asking for. And here I sat down here trying to 18 different ways and 18 different days is what's the bottom line. I'm still losing money. Now, am I gonna come back? You can bet on it. Am I gonna be asking for more money? I've got no choice if we wanna stay in the water business. And if it's not us, it's gonna be somebody like Kentucky American. And when I ask for 8%, they're gonna ask for 28%. We make a little bit. I'm not a corporation that based on stockholders that wanna make 30% on their money. I'm a population of 1,917 people plus the county, which makes us about 7,000 people that would love to survive and be under the cost of living. So again, that's where I'm at. I want to keep the water as reasonable as I can, provide a good service, and provide plenty of it. I can't do any of those right now.
So, I just want to make sure I'm clear. The contract provides you all
Right.
raise your rates after filing it with the Public Service Commission and notice to raise your rates based on your actual costs. Would you agree?
I'm not getting actual cost.
I'm not asking what you're doing now. I'm saying, what does the contract provide for you? Would you agree that it allows you to increase your rates based on your actual cost of production?
Okay. Does it say that to do that, I've got to come to you every time?
Well, the next section, it talks about that the contract is subject to the rules, regulations, or laws applicable.
Okay. But you just said that if it's 28%, then I'm entitled to 28%,
I haven't
right?
said anything about 28%.
Oh, I'm using 28 as a scenario instead of 4. If it's 28, there shouldn't be an argument to start with. You should get to 28, right?
If that's what the actual costs are.
Right.
That's right.
Right. And,
That's right.
and I'm
Once
way
it's-
under.
Once you've provided notice and filed it, that's the answer, yes.
Well-
But you can't just look at
But-
one specific provision of the contract, right?
I understand that point. If I'm looking for one provision, I would say, okay, I'm sorry. 4 million gallon is it. 100,000 gallon a day is it, period. I'm tired of losing money. I can't upgrade my utilities, which affects each and every one of us, back to the people in Carlisle and Nicholas County, same time. Is it right that I lose money and our water is going into another county?
Well, but you're the master of that, right?
I know, sir. I'm the
Isn't
master,
the
but
city
the
of
state
Carlisle-
tell me I've got to give 4 million gallon water.
Isn't the city of Carlisle, since the beginning of this contract, haven't you all been able to propose to raise your rates based on your actual costs?
Have we been able to? Probably.
Probably. So, make sure we take a step back. I want to go to where the vice chair was asking questions. Right now, I think the commission's order is pretty clear. We don't think you're covering your full cost of producing.
I understand that. But again, I'm going to come back.
Well, no, I appreciate that. So let me finish here.
All right.
So, you can propose to raise your rates based on your improvements
Right.
that benefit, in this contract, Nicholas County, right? That's your understanding.
Nicholas County or I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about, this is their
Right.
contract, that's why I'm asking. So, you can increase based on your costs related to your capitalization of your system in which the improvements benefit the purchaser. I just want to make sure that I'm going to make more of a statement than a question here. I try my best not to make statements. I appreciate that you've got a plan. But I'll just tell you, it sounds like your capitalization won't increase, even if all of your plans, you know, the 8-inch water line, the new pump station, and the new treatment plant.
It's got to, or I'm not going to be able to borrow money.
It's going to be a couple of years before those actually go into service and are part of your cost of service.
Right.
I
So
would
do I ask for a
personally,
yearly increase?
Let me finish. I would personally recommend that you look at increasing your rates to cover your costs today and not continue to hemorrhage $200,000 a year until you're able to get the improvements in. I'm not sitting up here arguing that I want Nicholas County and Sharpsburg water rates to go up.
Right.
But it sounds like they're gonna go up,
They're gonna-
whether you all fail as a system or whether you all propose to increase your rates. Either way, there's a cost that you all are incurring that is not being recovered. Is that fair?
That is fair to say.
Okay. I just would make that statement that I don't know that waiting until all those go into effect is a sustainable path forward.
If your recommendation is I come back with one within next week, I'll be back. I mean, it just, I need it, and we all need it.
I'll just make the recommendation that the one you all file next week, we'll probably need to kick the tires a bit more than one that gives.
Sure, I
that
understand
has some
that.
significant
I
study to
understand
it.
that. And again, if there's a plus in this, yes, I'm still hemorrhaging. These people understand, I hope, from this whole scenario, what the situation the city is truly in. A 1,900 water plant, a 50 pump station that is trying to have a community grow.
And so, and on that, I think my recommendation would be, don't wait until,
All right.
don't, and certainly, don't wait to sit down
Sure.
and talk about it until you all, 8 months, 10 months, 2 years, until you all have a plan and everything's set. I think the conversation sounds like, especially around your concern around the 4 million gallons a month.
Right.
I think that conversation needs to happen sooner rather than later, it sounds like, for the benefit of everyone in Harrison and Bath and Nicholas and
Everybody's got
the
to buy in.
entire
on it.
region, frankly.
I need everybody to buy in on it. I mean, we're a small community, and our vote, I hate to say it, when it comes to election, amounts to slim to none, other than a local election. But again, we need those federal dollars. We're economically stressed. You know, I could turn around and tell you I'm gonna lose more, and I am, because our nursing home just closed up, okay? There was, and patients and families that are distressed that had to move to other communities, unreal. So am I gonna lose revenue from that? Yes. Big gas customer, water is pretty good. Taxes, no, because it's owned by the county, the building is, so we don't pay taxes on that. Employees do pay payroll tax to both of us. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be tough for the next 2 years. Nothing I can do now, you know, it's just what it is. So yes, we're gonna have to have increase, and you give me some great advice to come back sooner than later. I'll be back sooner than later.
And don't wait to talk, I don't think, to the other districts until you got a
Well,
plan. I'd start having that
I had
conversation
tried
now.
before, and again, I gotta say, boards change, I change. You have one board that's totally, no, we're not gonna give you any more money. But yet, the state of Kentucky, I blame a little bit by saying, okay, you're doing another project. Yep. You got a contract that says that you're only allowed 4 million gallons of water, period. You're getting 8. What's wrong with them people in Carlisle? And they're losing money on it. So where is the public, not public service maybe, I don't know, Division of Water saying, by the way, you know, we put Carlisle on a sewer ban years back, and I was there, and I got it lifted. We gotta put you on a ban that you can't tap anybody else on, because again, you're draining the system so dry that sooner or later, something's gonna happen. A pump's gonna go down, a filter's gonna go down, but half of the town or half the county's gonna burn away. So I need help from more than just you all. I need from the Division of Water, I need from both water districts, I need from everybody to get where we need to be, self-sufficient and a good service and plenty of it.
So I just have one more question for you,
Yes,
Mayor.
sir.
So the newspaper was talking about that you gave an update to the council after our order. Have you seen the article?
No, sir.
Okay.
Do I read a paper? It's about like Facebook. No, sir.
So, one of the things it said is that according to the mayor, the PSC sided with the city of Carlisle on everything. He added that the city was obligated to provide the 4 million gallons of water to the Nicholas County Water District, of which is stated in the contract. Anything over would be a goodwill of the city of Carlisle at an additional charge, provided that the city would
Have no
be-
idea about the additional charge. Again, that's something they wrote. The contract should be written with a clause in it that says anything over, if we go to 8, anything over 8 million gallon will cost you X dollars above.
If that's what you want in a contract, I'd certainly, again, recommend that you
That's
sit
what
down
I'm
and
putting
negotiate.
in the contract.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Watson, do you have any additional questions on redirect?
Sir, you stole my thunder. I was gonna point out paragraph 5, that's the basis of why we think that ordinance applies. And, you know, as a matter of law, I don't know that a court would not equate a demonstrable increase or decrease in the cost of production with something as relied upon as the Federal Consumer Price Index that changes Medicare, Social Security, pension. It changes a lot. It's just a shorthand way of avoiding what the mayor was talking about, the $60,000 to get a cost of service study to come here to recover $3,000 or $5,000. And I understand where you all are coming from. The other point I'd make is, when this contract was signed, this body had no jurisdiction over this contract. This was 1993, before the case of Franklin and the city of Simpsonville, or the county, whatever the case was that threw us into that. So when that changed, I understand as a matter of law, this contract now is subject to your rules. At the time it was written, it was not. So the thought process that went into that is different. We're applying something that was written, good Lord, 40 years ago. How many? 20?
Not quite
6,
40, hold on.
Yeah, you know what I'm
hold
saying.
on.
It's 25 years old when things were different 25 years ago.
Can I
Well,
ask-
and I just would note, most of these contracts are all 40 years as a requirement by the USDA.
Yes,
I
for a long-
understand, and that's because of bonding. And looking at the grant application that the Nicholas County Water District put in, they're gonna come back to us and say, based on our grant application for $4 million, was that it, Damon? There's one going on here, I just noticed in the record, for the material that you provided on the RFI. You're gonna need a 4-year contract. We don't have one right now.
Not gonna get one till I get.
So, I mean, what do we do? We can give you a 40-year contract, but I don't know that we can give you a 40-year contract that gives you 8 million gallons, because we don't have 8 million gallons. We can't guarantee that,
I'm
given the
teetering
plan.
I'm teetering on falling off a cliff by just providing what we're following. And then I try to get, and here's the Division of Water, I'm not fussing at anybody, but here's the Division of Water screaming at me, you need to keep push, we can't do without. I can only push, try to live in Cincinnati and drive a Model T forward here every day and back home and see how far we get. And that's what I've got. I've got a Model T water plant that makes one thing for sure, makes good water. We passed our test. But as far as being able to expand it, I can't until we get money, I'm figuring 34 million by the time I'm done with the water plant, plus the 4 on the pump station to make that happen. And here's the money in Washington, the Clean Water Act, I'm pleased, you know.
Go ahead. Okay.
Has the city, since, and I know you have not been mayor since 1983.
The wheel falls off the cart.
Yeah, but there's a lot of discussion about the contract and unhappiness with the terms. Has anyone talked seriously about an amendment to the contract with the parties?
The
A mutually
party,
agreed
if I
upon
went to
amendment?
them, and I know what, if I was them, I'm gonna do the same thing. I say, hey, we'll amend the contract however you need to amend it to. But we need to say 8 million gallons, plus we need 40 years. I can't give that with what we've got. So is there anything really to discuss other than amending the contract, other than on price? That you will help me every way in the world to be grant eligible, to use your numbers, our numbers, along with both water districts or anybody else we serve, to provide money to get this happen, to make this plant and stuff happen. Now, that's what it is. And you know, it's tough. I'm telling you, I probably get bashed more than anybody in the world, and I think I've got pretty tough skin. But I'm also 65 years old, and I worked hard all my life. And I'm at the point that, again, I love our community, but I've got to the point I don't have to take it. There's 110 Sycamore, that belongs to me. And I do pay my city taxes, my utility bills and county taxes and everything. I can go there and have a whole lot less headaches, other than the point that I know this is what we all gotta have. We've gotta have a new water plant. And that's the basis on the other one. I had it done. And even back then, I used a money called mitigation money. I don't know if you're familiar or not, but it says it was 300 and some thousand of it going into that plant then. But I looked at every revenue it could get. We had it set to go, and you're a good guy today, and you're not, you know what, tomorrow. And people will vote that way, whether you like it or not. And I'm pretty loud spoken, but I mean what I say. And if I tell you I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And I don't back very good, but again, I look at everything, not just today or tomorrow. I caught a rake and a half over a 1 million gallon water tower. Why are you putting up a 1 million gallon water tower or half million, when you're just taking down a 40? Why do you need a 500,000 gallon back? Because that's going to give us the ability to be making water instead of a guy operating, shutting down because we can't push it up unless we push it over the hill and it's running down the valley. So everything I've done for the years that I've been has always been based on the future. And we still have people that want to live in the Stone Age. They don't want to come up to the future. Why you got a 3-car garage? I'm proud you got a 3-car garage. Well, why are you proud of them? They're paying taxes. So anyway, I'm done. It's just-
Now, I just want to And I hope you understand that we understand the
Oh,
difficulty.
yeah, you got a job to do, I know it.
We understand the difficulty, and I mean, and I can even say, as a child, my dad worked in water treatment and went to plants all over Kentucky, and I would tag along. So I know exactly what kind of infrastructure you're dealing with and what you're talking about. And we only have one small part of this, is the wholesale rate. So we would urge you, we know that affordability can be an issue for your residents. So we are encouraging you here to get your actual costs from the wholesale customers, what we've got control over here.
I can do that, and I'll ask you for the same thing that I asked the people from OSHA yesterday for. We don't give letters, but will you give me a letter of support for a water plant? And you're going down, you're gonna look at my pump station, you're gonna look at my water plant, you're gonna look at my sewer plant. Will you all give me a letter of recommendation of support saying that, yes, Carlisle does need to look at having a new facility that's not over 100 years old?
Yeah, well, we speak through our orders. I know we've said that you need more rates, so
Okay.
that's what we can do.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Anything else, Mr. Watson?
There's some, what appears to be some extraneous material in the record pertaining to the former city clerk and her criminal conviction for embezzlement against the city. She kept the records in such bad shape on purpose so that an audit could not be performed. And that is the rationale behind 7 years' worth of audits. And I realized we can't approach, we can negotiate all the contracts we want, but when we throw a tariff up to you based on an agreement, and I have got 7 years out of audit, you're going to throw us out of court. We don't even get a chance to get in the door. So that's why we haven't pursued some of these things. Those have now been fixed, and we are going forward, and, this mayor's a hardworking guy.
January 1, when I went in, we owed the Commonwealth of Kentucky $563,000 in utility taxes that were collected to the state that was not returned to the state. 7 audits, no money in the bank, employees no raises, had their workers' comp not paid, injury, the list goes on. I've done everything I feel like humanly possible to correct that, and I had the state of Kentucky, by the way, paid.
So, just a second.
6
You
months.
got the audits now?
Yes, sir, we've got those, and we'll be back.
Okay.
Frankly, I think we'll wait till the end of the fiscal year. We'll try to figure out why that loss number was so high in the last target year. We just don't have an answer for that. We don't know, because it's an outlier. That number is an outlier. If you look at every other year that we provided information on, we're within 15%. All of a sudden, it goes way up, and we don't know why.
We've got
just
meters
don't.
that don't work and work properly, I know that. I mean, I had a program in 12 years ago that we replaced X numbers of gas meters, water meters per year. I've just now got back to that where I'm saying, okay, we're gonna replace 100 water meters a year, period, that's minimum. One goes dead. Average year, since I've been back, 22 water meters are dead. I'm one of those that, okay, your water meter goes bad, you've been using 4,000 gallons, but you're showing nothing for this month. I don't know how much you use. We gotta come to a fair and equitable thing, but
Again, my recommendation for your wholesale meters,
we got this,
talk with the individuals from Sharpsburg, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of agreements that people have on wholesale meters.
Right.
They'll share costs, they'll share testing costs, sometimes the seller will bear the entire cost, sometimes the purchaser will buy the entire cost, but you can't come to a solution unless you have a conversation.
Right.
That's my only recommendation.
Again, I appreciate it, and I'm happy to.
As a matter of fact, Your Honor, are those contracts available to the public? Because I'm
Yes.
working off one that frankly I wrote 30 years ago. It's based on one that I wrote before that,
So,
and
to your
I haven't
point-
seen any.
to
I
your- to your point
understand.
earlier, so we have an entire part of our website dedicated to contracts.
Okay, that's all I need.
And we can direct you to where on the website that is, but you can go and look at every municipal that provides wholesale to any of our jurisdictional utilities. And by clicking on each one of those municipals, you can find their individual tariffs that they filed with the commission, and you can file the contracts they filed with the commission. Many of them, again, predate 1994 and have been filed with us subsequently pursuant to commission, I think there was a commission administrative case on the matter. But all of those are on our website, and Madisonville has close to a half a dozen, with Arlington and North Hopkins and Nebo. There are a ton of those that, Frankfurt has a number that relate to.
West Shelby, Farmdale, US 60.
That's right. So there are a number that I think, and I almost remember the Frankfurt and the Madisonville one specifically mentioned the relationship vis-a-vis the master meters, the wholesale meters. Water quality at the meter, cost of replacement of the meter. So there's plenty out there, and they're all on our website.
All right, so well, that's one of the, because obviously they're gonna have to come back and ask for a 4-year agreement. We're gonna have to sit down and come up with something that's a little more modern. But again, everybody's looking at the same supply chain problems to get meters. They aren't available. You can't buy a new meter. You can't buy a new pump.
It's just now that, you
They're
know,
just
like I
not
say,
there.
I'm having trouble getting meters, 4-inch meters, gas meters. We got a new state barn going up. I'm 1 meter short and it's been 8 months trying to get another meter. So what am I gonna do? I feel like I try to be a decent guy. I'm gonna put a straight pipe in and turn it on.
Anything else, Mr. Watson?
I think not, Your Honor. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Is there a reason the mayor can't be excused? All right. Thank you for being with us. today. Oh.
Good. Mr. Mayor, you threw out a figure a few minutes ago that scared me to death. And did you say that you thought this new water treatment plant was gonna cost $33 million?
That was what I was, again, I haven't got anything in writing, I just, what it's gonna cost. When they put in that number, they put in me having to buy a property that I've already owned. So that's there, and I guess that, you know, again, I'm going 3 times, and the state may come back and say, no, we disagree, you only need 2 million gallon plant. So I'm looking to something that won't be, 100 years from now, we'll still be able to make.
Well, I
But
understand.
can you
but-
imagine 4 million for a pump station which just got 2 pumps sitting on it?
Well,
And I'm not running any line from that.
but the 4 million is gonna be hard enough for the people in Nicholas County and Carlisle and these wholesale customers to,
Whether I do it, if it's not
Say-
gonna, if
let's
it's not
just
gonna be
say-
us, it's gonna be Kentucky American.
let's just, but what I'm saying is, I don't know how anybody with a customer base, you've got 1,000 retail, 1,100 retail customers and 1,600 Nicholas County customers, and Sharpsburg, maybe, I don't know how many Sharpsburg customers rely upon you, but that's such a tiny base.
But again, we're
Nobody-
growing.
Oh, I'm
Water
sorry.
District probably added 30 meters in the last 2 months.
Yeah, but let's just say it's $20 million instead of 33. I mean,
Again,
have anybody run the numbers to see,
not
can we
100%,
afford
but
that?
what they're based by that on, the cost, what stuff's costing right now.
Okay.
I mean, is concrete gonna go back down? Yes. Is pipe gonna go back down? Yes. Is the cost of a house, has it gone down from 3 months ago now to build to today? Yes.
So I did hear you correctly, that 33 million is the estimate for this new water treatment plant.
Right. And they may have the pump station added into that. I know it. But what do? Do you do without? Or do you do with?
You
But
look
again,
for
somebody's
options.
gotta do it.
You have to look for alternatives. if
Bath
that's the
County
case.
is probably at their limit. Kentucky American at Paris, I better shut up, man. But anyway, they have issues a little bit with their water. How much are they gonna be able to provide? If we get this cattle company that's coming to town, they're gonna need X amount of water. So what's it gonna do to that end of the draw? So if we grow, you've gotta have good schools, water, and all this essentials. So hopefully we can, man, I'm still fighting to get a grocery store back in town. It's,
Well, I appreciate it, Mayor. Good luck with the save a lot.
Well-
I know it's the delay's been pushed back, or it's been delayed, so good luck with that, and just,
they get
my
rocked out of
recommendation
the
is to continue to please have conversations, and that's the end of it. So, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Watson, would you like to call another witness?
I don't know, Your Honor, we've covered most of this. I'd kind of like to ask the Nicholas County representative some questions.
You'll
But
certainly get an
I think
opportunity.
I can cut down quite a bit of what I,
So let's take a short restroom break. We'll take a recess till 10 after 11, and then we'll come back. And if you don't have any additional witnesses, Mr. Watson, then I'll ask the individual from Sharpsburg, Mr. Rogers, and then Mr. Talley to call theirs.
okay, well, I would just want to cross, that's
That'd be
fine
fine.
if they've got witnesses, but if they don't, I need to talk. Thanks.
We're back on the record in case number 2021-00382. Mr. Rogers, would you like to call a witness?
I would, yes.
Okay.
Gail Haney.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Gail Haney, 95 Bethel Ridge Road, Sharpsburg.
Mr. Rogers.
What do you do for a living, Gail?
I'm the manager at Sharpsburg Water District,
And how long have you been the manager at Sharpsburg Water District?
38 years.
How many customers does Sharpsburg Water District have?
About 1535.
And where does Sharpsburg Water District purchase its water?
Bath County Water District and the city of Carlisle.
And Gail, you had previously submitted testimony in this matter. You recall that back in November,
Yes,
your written testimony, and we filed in the record December 1st, 2021. Is that testimony true and accurate?
yes.
At that time, Gail, well, let me just get into this a little bit. When did your rates start from City of Carlisle increase on your bill above what you were customarily paying?
I think it was July of 2020.
And had you or anyone at Sharpsburg Water Districts received any notification, written, verbal, phone call, email, anything that was going to happen?
No.
And when did you discover that discrepancy?
Probably just a couple of months after it occurred.
And what did you do?
I called the city office and didn't get any response. I emailed a couple of times, no response. We sent a letter, and finally someone in their office said that they had a cost of living increase that they passed along every July.
Do you know when that was told to you?
Not really.
Okay. And so your rates went up effective July of 2020, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's a new tariff going into effect for April.
Right.
Have your rates stayed at that increased amount since July of 2020?
Yes.
In fact, I only have the one copy here, but I was going to ask her to look at her last bill, if that's okay. I didn't.
Yeah,
anticipate-
just make sure that Mr. Watson is aware of it before you hand it to
Sure.
Gail, if you don't mind.
I was going to show her. Sure. This is March's bill, and that's the measures charge, and there's where she calculated what she.
And then we'll make a copy of it.
You have this with you, Gail?
No.
Okay. What is that you're looking at?
It's last month's bill.
From
From
whom?
City of Carlisle.
And when did you receive that bill?
I believe it was Monday or Tuesday of this week.
Okay. And that bill is last month being for the month of March 2022?
Yes.
And what is the amount of that bill?
$1789.89.
Okay. And did you calculate what the rate or what the amount of the bill should be based upon the, I think it's the 2019 tariff?
Yes,
And is that your calculation handwritten on the bottom there?
it is.
And what did you come out that it should be?
1724.56.
So what's the difference there?
It was over by 65.33.
Okay. And have all of your bills since July of 2020 been over approximately that amount?
All except 1 month, and I believe that was August. Well, let's see. There was 1 month that I called, oh, here it is, it's August of 21, and told her that the rates differed, and she said, just pay whatever you want to. So I paid what it calculated out by the rate schedule, and that month there wasn't no overcharge.
Okay. So from July of 20 until through March of 22, except for the month of August of 21, Sharpsburg Water has paid an amount in excess of their tariff rate.
Yes,
And have you calculated up the total excess
Yes.
you paid?
yes,
And what is that number?
$2,092.44.
Okay. Now, you were present in the hearing room when the mayor testified about a credit that Sharpsburg Water received.
Yes,
Are you aware of any credit?
no,
Have you seen any type of credit noted on any statement?
no,
Has anybody told you that they were crediting your account?
no,
Did you receive a refund check?
no,
Is it fair to say that all you've received are monthly statements, just like what you're holding there each month?
yes,
And you've paid each one?
yes.
I would expect there'd probably be a data request for those billing statements. I don't
Yeah,
know.
let me just ask Mr. Rogers, do you all have a problem making a notice of filing, in the next week or two? Or you all just give us all your copy of all your bills since, let's call it January of 2020 until now?
No, no problem.
That way it saves us the
Sure.
having to, okay. Yeah, if you all will file that as a notice of filing, just with the witness's affidavit attached to it and a copy of each one of those bills, I think that would be preferable as a way to move things along a little quicker.
January of 2020?
Yeah, till
Okay.
today. I guess
Gotcha.
through the March bill that you've talked about today.
Do you want to make this as exhibit, this bill here as exhibit today?
I can, yes. I'm
Yeah,
going to make
I
it
prefer to.
exhibit.
So if we can get it, Ms. Hardy, and make a couple copies of it, we'll do that.
And that concludes my testimony. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Henry, excuse me.
No questions.
Any questions, Mr. Young?
I do just have two questions, Your Honor. Good morning. You were talking about the August 2020 bill, that you paid something different than what Carlisle had sent over to you. Do you have that dollar amount in front of you, what you paid in August of 2020?
$2,703.74.
Oh, 2021. I believe you answered the question I meant to ask, but I think I may have asked for the wrong year. I meant August 2021. Is that the bill amount you just read?
That's what I thought you said,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. My cohorts here said I meant to 2020. So
Could you repeat that number?
270374.
That same month, August of 2021, were there any late fees that were associated with that month?
No,
No late fees? And are you aware of any late fees, say from January 2020 through current billing cycle that have been applied to Sharpsburg?
no.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. That's all the questions I have.
Question?
I have no questions, thank you.
Your Honor, I didn't get a chance.
Oh, I was gonna
Oh,
finish with you.
okay, I
That's
wasn't sure how you wanted to,
Go ahead, Mr. Watson.
okay. Ms. Haney, are you aware of the 85% that the commission has found short in the current order? The 85% that the city should have its rates increased to get back to the order that was just entered in this case?
Yes,
Okay. It urges cooperation and negotiation between the parties. I know you can't speak for your board, but do you think it'd be willing to cooperate and negotiate to try to work some of these things out?
yes,
Do you have any wholesale customers? Do you wholesale water to anyone else?
no,
That cuts a lot of the questions out. Do y'all have in place any grant applications for improvements to your system?
We just recently received a grant for a tank rehab project.
Would any of those, what about plans to expand your territory or to provide any new lines? Is there anything in the works there?
No.
Okay. What's the amount of water that your district requires from the city of Carlisle to keep your system running? How much do you need on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Well, we're contracted for 100,000, but we can get by,
100,000?
we can get by on less than that.
Is that a daily figure?
Day, yes.
You have other suppliers? If Carlisle can't supply water, you've heard the mayor talk about how we're going to have to make some improvements to the system here short term in terms of the pump and the filter system and a water line. Do you have an alternate source of supply if Carlisle has to notify you we're going to have to cut our supply?
We can purchase it all from Bath County Water, but there's an issue with keeping that whetstone tank full from that source.
Okay. If we had enough time, are those the kinds of things we could try to work out and try to, okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Rogers?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And we'll talk at the end about giving you a time frame
Yeah,
for
no problem.
filing those. Would you like to call another witness today, Mr. Rogers?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Talley?
We'd like to call Kirk Robinson, who is our distribution operator.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Kirk Robinson, 1272 Moorfield Road, Carlisle, Kentucky, 40311.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, before I tell Mr. Talley that he can ask whatever he'd like, I just ask you to speak up a little bit. The walls there make it a little hard for the microphone picks it up, but it makes it still a little hard to hear in the room.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Talley?
Where do you work, Mr. Robinson?
Nicholas County Water District,
How long have you worked there?
going on 17 years.
Are you a certified operator?
Yes, sir.
What class?
Place 2,
And about how long have you been a certified operator?
15 years.
Can you tell us the different sources of water that Nicholas County purchases from
We bought from Carlisle and Western Fleming.
Carlisle and Western Fleming?
Mhm.
Now, do you also buy a little bit for another section of your district?
Do I now?
Do you also, are there certain customers that you have to buy water from another source other than Carlisle and,
Kentucky American, Millersburg.
I'm sorry?
Kentucky American, Millersburg.
So, do you have a master meter near the county line?
Yes.
Where you buy from Kentucky American up near
Yes.
Millersburg? How many customers are served by that section up there?
About 10 or 11.
Why can't you buy more water from, or can you buy more water from Kentucky America to serve some of the customers that are
The
served by
pumps, the
Carlisle?
pumps up there have been out of service for several years, and they treat with chloramines, and we have chlorine. We can't mix the two.
Now, a few months ago, when Carlisle plant was down and they had to curtail everyone's water,
Right.
did your customers suffer because of that?
Yes.
Could you have done anything differently to have diverted some of the water from West?
Not at that
West-
time, no.
Let me finish. From West Fleming over to the area that's served by Carlisle?
No, not at that time.
And why not?
Well, our pumps won't push it that far.
which tank is filled from Carlisle?
Concord,
And what size is that tank?
it's 100,000 gallon.
And then you've got two other tanks, I believe,
Yes.
and what are those tanks called?
Hickory Ridge and Barterville,
How large is the Hickory Ridge tank?
it's 150,000 gallon.
Okay. And then the other tank is the
Barterville,
Barterville, Barterville. And how large is that tank?
it's 139,000.
Hydraulically, and those two tanks, I assume, are filled from water from Western Fleming.
Yes.
Why couldn't you have used some of the water from one of those tanks to go over to fill the Concord tank?
Because the only place we're connected is on Carpenter Pike, and there's no way you push that far.
Did you try?
Yes, we have tried.
And what happened?
We just pushed it so far out out Carpenter Pike.
Now, is there, do you have any plans to try to get more water from some of these other
Yes.
suppliers?
We're starting a new project, and we're gonna get bigger pumps. We're gonna try to get more from Western Fleming.
With this project, will you be able to buy less from Carlisle?
Yes, should be able to.
That's all I have.
Anything to help them out, you know.
That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Rogers?
No question.
Mr. Young?
I may have a few questions, Your Honor. Mr. Robertson, I have a few questions regarding some billing issues. Are you the right person to ask those questions, or should I reserve them for someone else?
What is it now?
Billing questions.
No, that'd be Monica.
I'll reserve my questions for her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vice Chair?
No questions. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Watson?
Do you know when Nicholas County started wholesaling water?
To Harrison County?
Yes, sir.
That was probably in, I could be wrong, 2007 maybe? I'm not sure.
And who do you draw from in order, well, first of all, let me back that up. Does Nicholas County Water District produce any finished water from raw water?
Do what now?
Do you produce water?
No.
Okay, so you purchase
Yes, sir.
everything. On the water that you wholesale to Harrison County, is that your only wholesale customer?
Yes, sir.
What is the source of the water that you sell to Harrison County?
We try to get most of it from Western Fleming, but I'd say where they mix, I'd say we do get a portion of it from Carlisle.
Got any estimate of the percentage of what comes from Western Fleming and what comes from Carlisle?
We should get 75% of it from Western Fleming.
Say again, I'm sorry.
75% from Western Fleming.
Did you say 75? I didn't hear that.
75% from Western Fleming.
I'm having a tough time
Sorry.
hearing that.
Let me just clarify for the record, 75%?
75%.
Okay.
Did you hear the mayor's testimony about how short the water district, or the water division within the city of Carlisle is in terms of operating revenues?
Yes, sir.
Did you also understand that the only way they stay afloat is with the revenues from the gas? Is it fair to reach the same conclusion the mayor did, that the gas customers in the city of Carlisle are subsidizing the cost of water to its wholesale customers?
Right.
You say you have some improvements in the works. As part of your discovery, you gave us a grant application for, I think, 1.9 million, is that correct? Is that to just improve what you have, or is that going to increase the capacity that you can draw from some other source?
It's really both ways. Improve what we have and then, try to draw more from Western Fleming.
Will most of that take place, where are you focusing the bulk of that? It looked like there was 9,000 linear feet in one part of it and maybe 1,600 linear feet somewhere else. Where are most of those lines going to
That
be?
is coming from the river, from Western Fleming. We have a lot of leaks down that way. We're replacing that. I think since I've been there, we've probably had 13 leaks.
How do you think that the city and the water district could coordinate better so that we don't have this situation where the water towers in the city get emptied and there's not enough water pressure to fight fire?
Communication, and me and the boys, that we do try to work together.
Do you think these are the kinds of things that should be able to be worked out by operators?
Yes.
And I assume that, I know you can't speak for your board, but would y'all be willing to continue to try to communicate and work some of these issues out so we don't have problems?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how long it's been since the meters through which Carlisle provides water to Nicholas County, do you know how old those meters are, or when the last time they were calibrated?
Not exactly. I know the one out on Concord was changed, the city changed it. Probably 3 years ago, maybe, on the others. I know the Harvey, that guy that done them, he passed away.
And how many places do you draw water from Carlisle?
4 that were capable.
That's one of the meters. What about the other 3? Are they even older than that, you think?
The one on Concrete Road, we're not using it now. And the one on Old Parish Road, I think it was changed out 2 to 3 years ago, maybe.
What kind of issues do you have day to day with supply from Carlisle and demand by your customers? Can you walk us through some of the issues you have?
If, the plant's running good, we're good, I can tell when they don't have water, and I usually talk to Ricky or something, We try to do what we can to help,
You've heard the mayor talk about some changes that he's going to have to make in his system, short-term, in terms of the pump and a new water line and changing in the filters. Is there a way for instance, when half of the filters go down,
Right.
and the capacity is going to be automatically cut in half, how do you think we should try to make that up? I mean, what do you think should happen during that interim when one of the filters?
Communication and, maybe Sharpsburg run different times and we run different times,
Do the supply storage capacity of your water district would it be helpful to increase your storage capacity in any
Yes,
way
sir.
so that when the plant's running well, we can keep tanks full? Do you know in your grant agreement that you're pursuing and the project you're pursuing, is there provision in there for additional storage?
Not at this one, the next one.
Okay. I think that's the only questions I have, sir.
Before I turn you over to Mr. Talley, I want to clarify, if you will get this grant approved, I guess the northern part of the system, do you expect that to increase the amount of water, increase the percentage of water from Western Fleming that you sell to Harrison, decrease that amount, or keep it about the same? You said it's about 75%.
Keep about the same. It'll increase from Western Fleming, but take off from Carlisle. Does that make sense?
That's what, so more of it will be coming from Western Fleming?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think it'll be more like 80, 85, or will it be close to all of it when you get done with those leaks?
You're probably 80, maybe.
Mr. Talley?
No questions.
Your Honor, the mayor pointed something else out. If I could ask, I'd
Go
appreciate
ahead.
that. You indicated the difference between Kentucky American Water and Carlisle Water is in the method of treatment somebody did here between chlorine and chloramines. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You can't mix the two.
Right.
Okay, is it possible to cut off at the source in Carlisle and then use that closed system to feed from Millersburg I assume there'd be a problem initially with what's in the lines,
Yes, we'd have to drain everything down and, start
Yep.
fresh,
but that would be possible in the short term if we
Could
had a
be,
situation.
if the hydraulics are there to.
Okay. I think that's the only questions I have.
Yeah.
That opens up another question. You said if the hydraulics are there.
Right. For
What
those
would you
pumps
have-
from Millersburg to.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me finish. What would Nicholas County have to do to expand the area that you could serve from Millersburg?
How about that? We'll just have to upgrade the pumps and try to.
Yeah, as I understand, the pump hasn't worked for
Several years,
years.
yeah.
Do you have any idea what it would cost to do that and how much time it
We
would
have,
take?
we have looked into it, but, we haven't got too far. We have talked to Kentucky American, and they talk like it could work, possibly.
What size water lines do you have coming from Kentucky American? to you? 4 inch? What size water lines do you have going from Millersburg toward Carlisle?
6 and 4.
Thank you.
4 also.
All right, thank you very much for being here today. Mr. Talley, do you have an additional witness?
Yes, I was not planning to ask any questions, but I understand other people will. So I would like to call our office manager, Monica Pryor.
Gotcha.
I asked that question about y'all got money for replace that pump in Miller, in the state, just recently. The governor brought it down. Unless you don't want it, I'll take it.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Monica Pryor. It's 1643 Old Paris Road, Carlisle, Kentucky, 40311.
Mr. Talley?
Who do you work for?
Nicholas County Water District,
How long have you worked there?
4.5 years.
What is your title?
Office manager.
And when you were hired, did they hire you as the office manager?
Yes,
So you've been office manager the entire time?
yes.
And how many other people are in the office there with you?
One.
Has she been there as long as you?
She has been there, there's a difference of about 2 months. I've been there about 2 months longer than she has.
I'll yield the witness to whoever's next.
Mr. Roger, do you have any? Sure.
Thank you. And Chairman, if it's all right with Your Honor, I've got 2 documents I do need to tender in the record that I can ask questions about, and I believe Ms. Koenig is going to pass them out. One, the first document, it's copies of bills that Nicholas County Water tendered to us, and I'll go over what it is when I ask
Okay.
questions about it. The other is a connection map between the utilities,
Okay.
or between the parties in play today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Pryor, I believe you have in front of you now one stapled document and a map that's unstapled. Drawing your attention first to the stapled documents, if I'm not mistaken, those are documents that were provided by Nicholas County Water District in response to staff's second post-hearing data request. Those are Exhibit 1D. If anybody's looking electronically, I believe they are PDF page 16 and 33, if anybody wants to try to find them that way. Both of those documents they appear to be bills from Carlisle to Nicholas County Water District. Is that correct?
Yes.
And on both of them, there's a handwritten number above what appears to be a total billed number on all 8 of those separate bills that were tendered. Can you confirm which of those amounts, whether the handwritten or the printed amount, were paid by Nicholas County Water District to Carlisle?
The handwritten.
The handwritten was paid?
Yes, sir.
regarding all of the billing history, going back to even 2019, would Nicholas County Water District be able to provide the date on which they paid the bills to Carlisle? I know in the record we have a month to month, but actually like the date it was paid.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That may be something we ask for in a post-hearing
Okay.
data request. Since January of 2019, has Nicholas County Water District been charged any late fees by Carlisle?
Yes.
Were they, is that something that could be provided in a post-hearing data request, or is it something short and brief enough you could provide now?
We could provide it in a data request.
Okay, thank you. I think that is, oh, there was one question. There's been conversation today about a credit, I believe, that was given to Nicholas County Water District. Can you just confirm when that was and how that, when that was received? I may be confused. Was that to Sharpsburg?
I think that was Sharpsburg.
Thank you, I apologize. All right, no further questions.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, I just have one. Thank you, Mayor, for being here today. The late fees that were charged, was that as a result of not paying the increased charge, or simply because it was paid late?
No, because it was paid late.
Okay,
They were warranted.
okay. That's it. Thanks.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, you said it was warranted?
Yes,
Okay.
they were.
I have no other questions. Mr. Watson, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Is it Harney or Haney? Harney? Your name is?
Monica Pryor.
Pryor. I'm sorry, I got you mixed up with the other one. Are you aware of a planned economic development project in the area, in Nicholas County adjacent to Millersburg for an industrial use?
Can you repeat that for me?
Are you aware that there's a planned economic development project that's going to be located in Nicholas County, but it's going to be near Millersburg, right there kind of on the border, for an industrial use? You aware of that possibility of there being such a plan?
I've just heard talk of it. Mhm.
Do you know whether Nicholas County Water District has the right to serve that area that this project's going into?
I really don't know a lot about it. Just,
Okay. Who in the Nicholas County Water District would be aware of these plans in terms of the project that might go in there on an industrial basis?
the water board and our engineers probably.
Okay. In your limited understanding of this project, do you know whether your water district plans on providing water, or whether that's going to come from Kentucky American through Millersburg?
I don't know.
How is the water district expanding, or is it expanding its customer base? Are you hooking new people on here pretty much regularly, or?
No, I know the mayor had thrown out, the 30 new customers in the last 2 months. We've had 8 new customers in the last 2 months.
Was one of those a 3-inch meter that was going to serve an agricultural use?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is a lot, do you have any idea what the percentage of agricultural use as opposed to residential use goes into your customer base?
No, I do not.
I don't know who would be able to answer those questions. I guess we'll have to maybe follow up with some written interrogatory, unless there's somebody here, Damon, that knows those.
I have no idea.
Okay. That's all I have then. Thank you.
Mr. Talley?
No further questions.
Anything, Mr. Young?
No, Your Honor, I was just going to draw the commission's attention to the map that was tendered, just to make sure everybody understood that that was just tendered for reference and to be a little more efficient for all the connection points between the parties.
And Mr.,
And
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if they could be tendered, Your Honor.
Yeah. And do you have copies, Ms. Koenig, of the document that Mr. Rogers had earlier? Okay. So to help us out, of course, Mr. Watson, I've asked Mr. Rogers to file all of those bills from Sharpsburg.
Did we not already provide all that stuff? Is that not something we did from our end in providing you all those bills?
Well, so they've made notations, I think, on
Oh,
their
okay.
bills as to their perspective. So it may be helpful for us to understand what it is maybe their assertions are, or their concerns are, and how they came up with that amount.
Actually, Your Honor, now that I recollect, we said we could not provide these because once they're printed and mailed, the database is,
Okay.
it won't do, it'll just give you the summary. So we've given you that information, it's just in a different format.
So let me just ask, does anybody have an objection to putting this into the record as, I guess, Sharpsburg Exhibit 1, and then the bills here to Nicholas County being Staff Exhibit 1, and the map for reference in the record being Staff Exhibit 2? Is there any objection?
None, no objections.
None, Your Honor, we stipulated a lot of this, I think,
Okay.
early on.
This will help us in sort of checking those numbers. And then we spoke, Mr. Rogers, about you all filing that notice of filing. The other, I'll give you a date on that, but I think Mr. Watts has indicated he may have some interrogatories, some post-hearing data.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, because our firm also represents the Industrial Development Authority in Bourbon County, we know there are talks going on for a rather substantial development in Nicholas County, adjacent to Millersburg, that's going to require a lot of water. It's going to be a meatpacking operation if it comes off. That's going to need a lot of water, and we just don't know where it's coming from. It obviously can't come from Carlisle. If there are plans for that, then we need to know that ahead of time, so. And I don't know who has the right to serve there. If you all aren't aware of the project, I know a meatpacking operation is going to require quite a bit of water.
We don't, thankfully, we don't, well, thankfully or not thankfully, economic development shows up on our door well after the announcements. We don't get to be part of the discussion ahead of time, so. You're more than welcome to serve the interrogatories if you like, but I also don't know that Nicholas County wouldn't give you that information if they knew anyway, so.
Correct. I
it's
mean,
up to you.
we're just trying to figure out if it's not coming from us, frankly, we don't care.
So what we'll do is, does the staff have any post-hearing data requests that you all would like to tender?
Your Honor, I do believe there will be at least one to Nicholas County Water District, and I think we've got one for Carlisle as well.
Okay. So can you all have those filed by the 18th?
Yes, Your Honor.
That would be, is that Monday? Okay.
Yes, we do.
What is the information that you'd like to get from the individual parties so that they can have an idea of how long it'll take to get them?
Mostly billing,
It's the billing information.
just to clarify the number, the overage number.
Talking about the late fees that we actually paid.
The late fees paid, I think there'll probably be a question about the credit as well, and then the late fees for Sharpsburg as well. That's okay.
And then questions, I assume, about the credit.
There's
Sharpsburg's
no late
moot.
fees to
They have no
Sharpsburg,
late
there's
fees.
late
They've never
fees to
been late.
Nicholas County, but, so it's just the late fees to Nicholas County and the credit to Sharpsburg,
Thank you.
and it's just those clarifying.
Okay. So we'll ask those on April the 18th. I've got a map here, or a calendar here.
Your Honor, we just have one clarifying question.
Well, let's, so if we do,
Yes.
if we ask the questions on the 18th, how about May the 6th to respond? It should be about 3 weeks.
Monica, you think you could get that answers to the late fees in
Yes.
3 weeks? Okay. You've got other data requests on the rate case, I understand. Thank you.
Did you say 6 May?
May the 6th?
Shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. So to be responded to by May the 6th. Okay. Do you have something else? Ms.
I was
Cohen?
just gonna say, the only other thing that was brought up early on was the running balance. And is that a problem? It was for Carlisle.
The running balance that was asked of the mayor, if they could provide a running balance of what's owed, what's been paid. The mayor indicated he thought they could, that they keep a running tab of the balances.
Daily, you mean, or just
No.
what's,
I think probably monthly based off of
Yes,
what's been
it's just the
charged and
billing,
what's been
yeah.
paid.
Exactly.
Actually, the billing summary.
okay, from, that you don't have, from 1 July 21 around, okay, to date, sure.
Okay.
2020.
2020.
And in light of the court's order, or the commission's order regarding a new tariff, I can say now we will not file that until we have a complete year, fiscal year, coming around to end 30 June, so that when we present that, you'll have a whole billing year. You will have had everything else up to that point, and, you know, we can get you a running total, but we will file the current tariff
That's, yeah.
within the 20 days that the court ordered, and from a clarification standpoint on that, I've looked at a few of the tariffs, and they do include things like an E911 fee and a late charge, and obviously the COLA
Yeah.
dog won't hunt at this level, so I'm wondering about the inclusion of those items in that tariff and whether we're going to be back here on an objection or whether that's something.
So what, I can't speak for the other parties, but what
That's-
what my proposal would be is for you to do this, is for you to file a tariff in accordance with the commission's order with the rate setting forth the rate approved by the commission, just that tariff, right, within that allotted time. And then that will give you an opportunity, if there are other charges that you intend to ask to, you know, to seek to charge, that you can file a new tariff, just with the rate that was done within 20 days, with the addition of those new things. That way, your rate within the 20 days is good, and you're only proposing a new tariff, if that makes sense.
If that's the drill, Your Honor, that's the drill. We'll comply.
I think that would be best for you. And
I'm,
then-
I'm seeing no objection. Sharpsburg doesn't ever pay a late fee. Nicholas County's probably going to waive it, so
Our contract says that you have the right to charge Nicholas County a late fee. That's in our contract.
gee, I didn't know that. So
And E911 has we have no objection to $2 a month for the 4 meters.
So that's what I would do, is I would go ahead and just do a clean one with the new rate, and then do another one right behind it that has a 30-day effective date with the current rate at that point, and with your proposed late fee and the 911 fee, and then just a 30-day notice on that, effective date within 30 days, unless you request 20 days, which you can by motion. That's the way I would do it. It'd be a lot simpler, I think, that way.
Wilco, Your Honor.
So, this is what we'll do. We will, let me ask this question. Given the indication of process moving forward that we're gonna enter an order with what we think to be the amount, especially pursuant to Carlisle's, comments at the outset, stipulation, do you all intend on filing on this very specific issue any briefs or any positions of the parties prior to our entering the order for your all's review and comment and objection?
None from Nicholas County.
Mr. Watson?
Your Honor, I think it should be clear, and we made this agreement, or we made this argument in our initial response as well as today. I think you know what our position will be on the issue of the COLA, and I don't see any need to brief that.
Okay.
Once the order's in, you know.
So this is what we'll do. We will take all the information that we get from the data request that we send out and are due on May the 6th. We will enter an order with what we believe to be our finding as to the amounts. And then we will set in that order a procedural schedule moving forward for you all to comment, object, brief, whatever you'd like to do, take a position on that. And then we can take that under consideration for a subsequent order. And then that other subsequent order will be the final order in relation to this investigation issue. And that would be in addition to the final order related to your tariff that we have approved. or that rate proposal that we have approved for the city of Carlisle. Okay. All right. So we will enter a procedural schedule by, I guess, Friday or Monday of next week, setting forth the day that the data requests are due. And then there will be a subsequent procedural schedule in that subsequent order. All right. Is there anything else that we need to take under?
No.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would like to thank the commission for its forbearance in having to deal with me. I don't speak PSC very well. We tried to find counsel that speaks PSC, and we're unable to. My first choice would have been my classmate, Mr. Talley, but obviously that wasn't going to fly. So,
Mr. Watson, if it makes you feel any better, I would have sworn you were 15 years younger than Mr. Talley.
There you go.
Damon, you can take that any way you want, but.
So no, I appreciate Mr. Watson. It's
And I
we understand.
I especially have to commend your attorney, Ms. Brittany, for, Ms. Koenig, for her forbearance, because she has helped quite a bit.
We appreciate it, and thank for you all for the time. If there's anything else, please just file something with us, and we'll endeavor to try to get an order out as fast as possible on this. Okay, nothing else? And you may be
Excuse me. Locked in the cage.
You don't have to sit there. I apologize for getting your name.